Mr. Speaker, I'd like to take a moment this evening to bring the country's attention to one of the most shocking and twisted things I have ever seen in the world of politics that is happening right now in my state of California. There is a scheme playing out right now on the part of the state's ruling politicians to undermine a democratic election and make nearly 40 million Californians less safe. This relates to the crime problem in our state, which of course is not just a California issue. As a member of the Judiciary Committee, I've been part of several field hearings in some of America's worst cities when it comes to high crime rates, including Chicago, Philadelphia, Manhattan, and right here in Washington, D.C. But it is perhaps in my state, in California, especially in cities like Oakland and San Francisco and Los Angeles, where the problem is most pronounced, thanks in large part to a series of criminal laws that have been passed that are uniquely permissive and that are uniquely restrictive of the ability of law enforcement to keep our communities safe. But there is one law in particular that is at the root of many of the problems that we see in California when it comes to homelessness and open-air drug markets and when it comes to retail theft and smash and grabs. And that is an initiative known as Proposition 47, which was passed in 2014 under the false name of the Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act. And since that time has caused an epidemic of retail theft by eliminating virtually any consequence for stealing. It has also had the tragic consequence of making it so we cannot get drug addicts who are living on our streets in many cases, dying tragically on our streets in many cases for fentanyl and other drugs, where we can't get them the help they need now because it's decimated our drug court system. Prosecutors no longer have the ability to use a possible felony conviction as leverage to get offenders to sign up for treatment. So for the last decade, this very misguided initiative, Proposition 47, has caused these problems to build and build and build in California, and has made our communities less and less safe, has made our quality of life in California lower and lower, has been a major reason why people have been leaving our state in record numbers when, for much of its history, California has been the state that everyone wanted to come to. So after a decade of living with California, over the course of the last several months, there has been a citizen-led effort in California to overturn the worst provisions of Proposition 47, to restore consequences for retail theft, to revive drug treatment for those who need it, to take on the scourge of fentanyl that is ravaging far too many of our communities. And the people of California responded overwhelmingly, with over 900,000 people signing the petition to get this measure on the ballot. And just about an hour ago, this evening, it was officially announced by the California Secretary of State that the initiative has qualified, that it will appear on the November ballot, and all indications are that the people of California will vote for it and end this radical, failed experiment in our state and set our state on a new course. But unfortunately, there are some who hold power right now in California who do not want that to happen. And I want to be very clear that this is not a partisan statement because the initiative has broad bipartisan support. For example, it is endorsed by the Democrat mayor of San Francisco, the Democrat mayor of San Jose, the Democrat mayor of San Diego, because it's just common sense that we need to restore public safety in California. And yet, at the state level, the supermajority in the legislature, along with Governor Gavin Newsom, have decided that they should take matters into their own hands and deny voters the opportunity to pass this bipartisan initiative. So how might they do this, do you ask? It's already qualified for the ballot. The people have made their voice heard. It's official. What's their plan? This is the scheme that they've come up with that surpasses anything I have seen, perhaps, And I've seen a lot when it comes to the machinations of California politicians. Here's what they've done. The governor and leaders in the legislature came up with their own package of bills that are ostensibly designed to promote public safety. And in fact, most, if not all, of those bills are unobjectionable. Some of them are even positive. But they're really just tweaking at the edges of the problem. None of them does anything to deal with the actual problems of Proposition 47. In fact, the bills by definition couldn't do that because Proposition 47 was a voter initiative and it can only be corrected by a voter initiative. The legislature doesn't have the power to do that. But nevertheless, for whatever reason, maybe to look like they were doing something about the problem, maybe they genuinely wanted to help make communities safer, you had these bills that were introduced that would take some fairly modest steps in the direction of public safety. Well, we actually learned just a few days ago that there was a much more sinister purpose behind these bills. The leaders of the legislature will be introducing an amendment to these bills, which has what they're calling an inoperability clause. So what does that mean? They are stipulating in the language of the bills that if voters pass the initiative that is now going to be on the ballot in November, then those bills will automatically be repealed. So they're putting in a provision that says that their own bills will be repealed automatically if voters make a decision that they don't like in November. This is truly extraordinary. It's a threat to the people of California. Don't pass this initiative or we will weaken other criminal laws. It's a loaded weapon because the effect is automatic. The threat doesn't even need to be carried out. It's just there the moment the initiative passes, at least this is the way they've designed it, then those bills will be repealed. But truly, the purpose of this is even worse. The true purpose is to mislead voters and give them an upside-down description of what this initiative will actually do. Because in California, the language that appears on the ballot when you go to vote that says, here's what this initiative will do, that language is written by the Attorney General, who is himself a statewide elected official. So the point of including this, some are calling it a poison pill, which says that if you pass the initiative, then these public safety bills are going to be repealed, is to influence the way that the initiative is written. So that an initiative that is supposed to be about helping to limit crime, reduce crime, and restore consequences, they'll describe in precisely the opposite way. On the ballot, it will now say, oh no, this initiative is going to repeal these public safety measures. It is a deeply cynical scheme designed to undermine a popular voter initiative that is desperately needed to get our state back on track. And so I think that when people ask, whatever happened to California? How did our beautiful state come to have all of these problems where, you walk through the streets of San Francisco or Los Angeles and you can't even believe that you're in the United States of America? How did this happen? This is how it has happened. Unfortunately, we have political leaders who are willing to go so far as to undermine a democratic election and to make our state less safe in order to advance their own particular political goals. Mr. Speaker, I think it is absolutely shameful. However, I have faith that at the end of the day, the will of the people will win out. And I think that people are frustrated with what has happened to our state. I hear it every day. They're frustrated with machinations like this, and that the people of California will find a way to make sure that this change that is desperately needed happens and that our state gets back on the right track. Thank you, and I yield back.